So, welcome to the Circuit de Catalunya on a grey Sunday morning, but it's going to be a day packed with racing. It's the final round, the 10th and final round of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series, and also the 5th and final round of the Endurance Cup element of the Blancpain GT Series. So, titles to be sorted, a packed grid of cars, 50 cars will be going out to qualify in the course of the next hour, and qualifying has never been more critical. John Watson joining me, Bruce Jones, up in the commentary box. Yesterday we had dry and then we had wet, so a lot of the teams may not know exactly which way they're pointing at the moment.
Well, then we see a view overlooking the circuit and the hills behind, and the circuit is still damp, although there are drying patches appearing. But whether it will end up with a single line, dry line around the racetrack, it's 18.5 Celsius, ambient 17.7 track temperature.
But look at that humidity though, 83%.
Yes, the humidity is high. What we need is a strong wind blowing in conjunction with all 51 cars going out on track. And as we speak, they're already beginning to make their way down the pit lane. Right,
here are the overall standings. So Lamborghini racers, Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt sitting on a tidy lead, 22 points, only 25 points up for grabs. So they need an 8th place finish or higher. But in a packed field, that is not guaranteed. Vincent Abril, the outsider chance. He was the sprint champion in 2015, but an outside shot at the title. He'll be giving it all along with his Bentley teammates, Maxime Soulet and Andy Soucek, desperate for a win on home ground. And then, of course, in the Endurance Cup standing, it's the same pairs reversed, as you'll see in a moment. Just look at the names, these fantastic names, way down the order, outside the top 10. Really just emphasises the strength in depth and the depth in strength of the drivers in the Blancpain GT Series. So conditions wet a lot. Well, not wet, but damp at the moment. There was rain, more rain overnight. In the Endurance Cup element, it is much, much closer. And this time it's the Bentley boys in the number 8 crew. Soucek, Soulet and Abril on top, but only by that 8-point buffer ahead of the GRT Grasser Lamborghini racers. Andrea Caldarelli in the mix in this one, along with Bortolotti and Engelhardt. Then the SMP Racing Ferrari trio tucked behind in 3rd place, but they cannot take a tilt at the title. They're just too far down. But so far in the Endurance Cup, we've had started the season with 2 wins for Lamborghini, then that win at Paul Ricard for Bentley, and then the Santalok Audi in the Spa 24 Hours. But the circuit here, plenty to provide a challenge to the drivers, John.
Yes, 4.6 kilometres, 16 corners. There is elevation change. The high point up at turn 9, one of the high points, if you like, of the racetrack from a driver's perspective. Never quite flat out. In qualifying, dry conditions, brand new set of tyres. Well, you might try and sneak through there, but generally you end up scrubbing too much speed off. And then the run down the long main straight, the principal feature, it does drop away from you as you come down into turn 1 and 2. And of course, at the opening lap, the start of this race, it's a rolling start, 51 cars. 51 into 1 is not a great equation. Let's hope that we get 51 cars coming out of turn 1 on lap 1.
Well, they're about to go out. You can see just over a minute until 9 o'clock. Still no real breaks in the clouds. So the first session split into 3 sessions for each of the drivers. A couple of the crews only have the 2 drivers. Predominantly, these crews will have 1 driver in each of the sessions. There's one of the 3 Black Falcon Mercedes. And I think these are almost the sacrificial lambs, if you will, because the track will not be at its best in this first session. But for a lot of the drivers, they would have had a little bit of experience on dry running yesterday morning, but yesterday afternoon when they went out, conditions were very difficult indeed and got wetter through the session before drying in the final few minutes. But that was yesterday. Today is today. So on a track that is famously fickle in terms of changing the nature of what it brings back to the crews, and certainly has the engineers scratching their heads. This is just quick fire. They've just got to hope they've got the combinations right.
Well, what they'll have done is hold back as many of their sets of new tyres as they want to use. But in this first of 3 qualifying sessions, they may not opt to use the new set because they will roll the dice in that they don't expect any more rain. So in theory, over the 3 sessions, at the end of the 3rd session, the track should be at its quickest, at its driest. There's a car that really has to get to the front of the grid. The 63 Lamborghini, a car that was very dominant in the early part of the year, of course had a hugely disappointing end to the sprint championship at Nürburgring 2 weekends ago, but very, very strong indeed, and leading the overall the Blancpain GT Series drivers title by a comfortable 22 points from the number 8 Bentley. But you never know. I mean, I don't want to be the commentator's curse. It is an open race for everybody, particularly this car, the number 8 and the 63 Lamborghini.
They're the two ones to look for, but we just know how incredibly close it's become in the Blancpain GT Series. A blink of an eye and you could be 10 places further down the grid. How many cars will have it covered by the top second when we get all these qualifying sessions, the 3 qualifying sessions combined, and pick out the fastest times of all? It's about finding your space, your gap in the traffic. So Vincent Abril, who has a tilt at the overall driver's title, is hoping he can just deliver. He'll be handing over to whether it's Soucek or Soulé in the next session. It should be Soulé and then Soucek in the final session. Almost sent some spots of rain on the camera lens. I don't think so, but it's certainly a murky morning here at the Circuit de Catalunya. But very early in the session, Abra is trying to get clear track, and immediately he's got chopped at turn 7 by the Nissan.
Yeah,
wasn't close enough to make a dive.
The Nissan had overtaken the Bentley into turn 4 anyway, so then Vincent Abril decided it was about time to readdress. Wipers on one of the Nissans just coming up into turn 9. So whether there is maybe around the circuit localized rain, or not even rain, it's just like a very fine spray, but you can see the headlights and the difficulty that Vincent Abril had slowing the Bentley down, coming down into turn 10. So there, the track is clearly less grippy than it would have been in the first 4 or 5 corners, and that's what drivers were unaware of until now. In real time, they're going out to discover that the track is a track of maybe 3 or 4 parts, and they've just got to work out which bit is the bit, and will they be in wet weather tires, will they be in slicks? That looks tricky, because you can see already the tire marks being left on the damp tarmac, and the number 4 Black Vulcan Mercedes runs very wide into turn 13.
Now, one thing I'm just noticing, the number 7 Bentley's running behind the 8. It's almost as if he's trying to buy it a bit of space. Oh, and it gets the tail out as he comes out of the final corner. And that was...
that's Vincent Abril.
No, it was the car behind. It was Guy Smith, I think.
Okay, the sister car drivers, Vincent Abril, not Vincent Abril, Maxime Soulé and...
it did hit the wall, so it didn't. In fact, if I look out of a commentary box window, we saw it snap to the right.
Be a red flag.
That most certainly will. So there it was, riding shotgun, and he had the righter young stars.
Guy Smith got that car sideways,
and there's debris across the track, as you can see.
Red flag.
Absolutely. Now it is the red.
Look at the bits of the car. Now we saw that car get snapped sideways, and then we changed camera angle, and we missed what there's Stephen Kane. So he's not going to be doing much work this afternoon. Guy Smith gets out of the car.
Well, good to see Guy climbing out. So what the team's got to do now is just totally focus on the number 8 car. Their 7 car is out of the equation. That's someone who's spun in the background.
Probably Lamborghini's got missed the pit lane entrance.
Yeah, missed the pit lane entrance. It's one of the Barwell cars, the 78 Lamborghini. But we just saw that tail come out, and it just absolutely emphasised, maybe touch the curves, that famous element of where the moisture is held.
Absolutely. I mean, I assume, I don't know, Leo Machitsky in the Barwell Lamborghini, but he's going to have to do something. Maybe I would just sit there for the meantime. But
Guy's
he's on
okay.
slicks. Yes, he came out, and if you get your slick tires on that wet painted curb, and you've got power on with the torque, that Bentley's got a huge amount of torque. Malcolm Wilson looking, huge. Concern Guy Smith, he's okay. That Bentley, they've had front end damage to those cars before, but that one is as bad, I have to say. Look at this. The entire front shroud bonnet has been torn off the number 7 Bentley, and Guy looking at it isn't going to heal it. It's not going to get any better. And the rear of the car had a slap on the barriers as well. There's the bonnet of the number 7 Bentley being carried, and you can see
behind he's impacted, then spun round, the 2 points of impact, and then it's come to a halt here. So a lot of debris. That's the main. Well, the main concern is Guy is fine. Car certainly isn't, but they need to get that debris off the track. So they'll be working very hard. But you could see around various points
there
of that. So
we saw that. Then all of a sudden, what happened?
Just went out.
That was the number 8 Bentley. I was right when I said that was the number 8 Bentley.
Yeah, no, I was saying it's a 7 behind. I was just talking about the fact maybe it was trying to delay the Lamborghini behind.
So this is the other angle coming out of turn 16. That's the 8. Then Guy Smith almost, he exaggerates what we saw from Vincent Abril, just gets too much throttle, too little rear end grip, and once it's gone, the wet weather tire might have saved you, but being on slicks, you had no chance whatsoever.
So very dramatic start to the first of 3 qualifying sessions here for the final round of the 2017 Blancpain GT Series. Into a standstill in the pits. The number 8 car, Vincent Abril, right in the championship mix for overall honours and also the Insurance Cup. It's between the 8 Bentley. That's not the bent one, that's the number 7 Bentley. A little mistake there from Guy Smith. Became a big mistake once the car had got away from him over the curbing coming onto the start-finish straight, and then sadly whipping around, having hit the wall on the inside. You can't order a new car that quickly for Malcolm Wilson from M Sport running the Bentley team, but he's obviously got to report back to base as to what has gone on. But from their point of view, if there is a chink of light at what's become a dark morning, it's the fact it was the number 7 car, the one that wasn't in the championship mix, is the one that's taken a tumble. So having missed the pit entry, Leo Machitsi just going back around the circuit to report in. The red flag came out just before he got down to pit entry. He failed to observe it, but I wouldn't have suggested any damage done there at all. So he'll run in gently. The rest of the cars now back in the pit lane, and it's very, very quick fire. You can see the clock has stopped. It started at 15 minutes. It's only got down to 12 minutes, 21 seconds remaining, and already the number 7 Bentley is about to be whisked out of the way. An upset early in the day. That will leave us at the moment 49 runners. We had 50 starting, and 49 hopefully will go on to set a time. But the number 7 most certainly will not be doing that.
Well, you can see the grass, Matt Wilson and the Bentley engineers all in deep discussion. And when they will get the car back, they will assess the damage. But certainly the front end, and you can see that the two deformable structures, every road car has to have that as a mandatory regulation, look to me like they were not in the direction they should be. So although they will have to assess, they'll do all they can to get this car prepared for the race. It's a 3 o'clock start here, so there's a long way to go. I mean, it's basically just under 5 or just under 6 hours.
Well, obviously Lamborghini the GRT team brought a 3rd Huracan this weekend to help try and ride shotgun, to do what it can to help the 63 crew, as will the 19, but there were only 2 Bentleys, and one of them at the moment is injured. Whether it's out remains to be seen, but as John said, nearly 6 hours. How fast they can assess the level of damage and how fast they can get the spare parts.
It'll be, I mean, they will have the spare parts, that's not the issue. There's Stephen Kane, yeah,
and Jarvis walking
yes,
up to see
medical centre just to make sure.
See Guy, so just walked past the control tower. Medical centre is in the back of the paddock. They probably worked out where it is while he's going the wrong way.
The trouble is, every time you go to the medical centre, usually you're being taken in a vehicle rather than actually walking down. But there it is.
At the back left of shot.
You can see the helicopter landing pad where they will bring, if necessary, a helicopter to transport a driver from the scene of his incident.
In fact, Guy is still up by the car. He's just on the other side of the wall there. And there's Stephen Kane walking up to have a look. But Guy's just out of shot there. So he'll have taken a bit of a thump there.
Just try and get a look when we get that front end shot. If we can get another front end shot of the Bentley to see those 2 large metal legs, and those are the fundamental part of the front structure. And it's difficult to tell if there's a bend in it at all. Then that's the end of the operation for number 7 as we go back into the pit lane and look at 63 sitting quietly waiting. And everybody has found out quite graphically that the track is not, as it is in the pit lane, good enough for slicks. Certainly round from turns 9 all the way around to the end of the lap, and certainly turn 16 are really a wet weather track condition.
Yeah, well, at the start of the session it said wet weather conditions. Right, 9:11 is the suggested restart time. That's 2 and a bit minutes from now. So the drivers are sitting in the pit lane. The 82 Lamborghini in the background is the one brought in especially this weekend to bolster the challenge. Giorgio Roda, Paolo Roberti and Tom Dillman. That had its moment yesterday, ended up in the gravel at one point. And the regular 19 crew is here. Ezekiel Perez Compact, but with new teammates, Fred Vervish and Renger van der Zande as GRT mix. Now, not everybody's going on slick tyres. We think we just spotted wet tyres, did we not, on the 63 Lamborghini?
Yeah, and I think that I'm not sure what tyre they might have been on when they started the session, but certainly they've decided to go on the treaded wet weather tyre because it is just so treacherous. It's very much as it was yesterday afternoon for the second practice session, the pre-qualifying session, and people were able to much more easily transfer from this what would have been a wet tyre on sort of damp track to a wet tyre and a wet track. But this was dry enough, I think. Certainly the Bentley was on slicks, and not the wrong decision. There you can get a view of the front of the car.
The front right hand. Both of them are twisted, aren't they?
They're both damaged. So,
well, just to give you an idea, looking out of the commentary box window, the car's parked under the balcony at the bottom of the control tower. You can see a dry patch beneath them. You can see where the fringe of the balcony, the ambulance that's parked to pit entrance, dry track beneath it, but wet around it, and along the pit lane, the story is the same. So greasy, very tricky, light conditions really quite poor. It's a murky morning here at the Circuit de Catalunya. Yesterday this Porsche was second quickest, John, so this could be a fly in the ointment, if you will, for the championship challengers. But if you're leading, you want other challengers in the group to prevent your rival get closer to the 25 points.
The Porsche, and part of the reason why it did so well in these mixed conditions, is because of the fundamental layout of the car, with the engine hung out behind the rear axle. It does give the car that little bit of additional traction, but in overall performance terms, whatever happens in qualifying, the likelihood of this car being at the front of the field come the end of the race, it's unlikely. It is a Pro-Am entry, and consequently it will fall back once the AMs get behind the wheel.
Right, 1 minute to the restart of the session. The number 7 Bentley battered and broken in the paddock on a flatbed now, relatively close to the medical centre. But Bentley 8 is still sticking with slicks, so they reckon that maybe the track will dry out because the traffic will do just that. But this is a big roll of the dice. We've seen the Lamborghinis just going out in front of it on wet weather tyres, on treaded tyres of some description. You can see the cuts in the tyres. Bentley, though, this is a big roll of the dice for Vincent Abril.
The team will have said to Vincent Abril, what do you want to do? Do you want to put slicks or stay with the slick tyre? Do you want to go on wet weather tyres? And clearly the opinion of the driver is, I want to stay with the slick tyre because now I've had a sighting lap. I know what the track conditions are like. I feel I'm capable of controlling, and the track with no rain falling will eventually begin to dry out. So you want to try and be on the right tyre at the right time.
But it's now the right time, John, because we've got two more sessions to come.
Well, in the case, Vincent Abril appears to feel that for him it's the right time. Not everybody in the pit lane concurs. We've seen that most likely the majority of the field will now go back out on a wet weather set of tyres. They may well actually be only able to do 2 or 3 laps on those wet weather tyres because the track will then be beginning to be drying, and that will just take the wet weather tyre and shred it, basically.
Now, Vincent Abril has let one of the 2 Jaguars go past, and that's probably on treaded tyres, and he's just trying to get those slick tyres back up to heat as soon as he possibly can. But as you can see, with so many cars out on the circuit, finding your gap in the traffic is, look, it's like the first lap of a race, and they've got to work their space. I think Vincent will probably let the 17 Audi go on past him. Or will he? But anyhow, he's got to just make himself the space where he's not going to be interfered with.
What's interesting is that most of the cars are having their wipers operating, so there must be that fine misty spray. And look, 17, and the Audi just runs into turn 5, overruns the corner almost, well, just about. And it is that rain, it is that sort of very, very fine mist.
But it's just the high points in the circuit. On the opening lap of qualifying, I sensed at the corner they've just gone through, there was a little bit, you can see the wipers going there was a little bit of mist in the air, a little bit of drizzle. So these are going to be very, very testing, knife-edge circumstances for Vincent Abril on the 8 Bentley. He's taking a big role.
Let's wait and see. He may want to revisit his decision to stay on slicks because
all the wipers are going.
Everybody has got their wipers going. Now, they're not doing that because it's pretty. They're doing it because clearly there must be that very fine misty rain that we had on Saturday for the session in the afternoon. And I would not be surprised if Vincent Abril says, look, guys, it's not getting better, and I'm going to come in. You can see 23 Alex Buncombe going round the outside. There we are. Well, I didn't see that from the commentary booth, but you know, you can't beat a bit of experience, Bruce.
You were flipping a coin 5 seconds ago, wanting to work out what they were going to do.
But it's a one-sided coin.
Well, there you go. Win, win, win. But you could see quite clearly Vincent Abril was happy to let everyone past. Just didn't have the grip. Thought he might, but you know, they were in the pits for nearly 10 minutes.
Yep.
The difference in the conditions, he's still got time aplenty.
The thing that would have occurred is that Vincent Abril would have said, I'm comfortable with the track conditions. What he wasn't able to see was what was going on around the back of the circuit, and you can now see the tyre mark impressions on the racetrack, and that is indicating that the rain is falling. But from the commentary position, you can't see it. It's not there. Oh, there's the spots, really, little more than that. But it's sufficient to just put more liquid onto the circuit, and those that went out on the wet weather tyre got it right. The minority went in the slick, and for Bentley, for the number 7 car, and for Guy Smith, well, they will have to go back and think about it and see the decision. Did we do the right thing? Were we just being a little bit too aspirational?
Yeah, I feel that's the right. The slick might be the right tyre for session qualifying 2, qualifying 3. A couple of other cars came in. The 22 Nissan came in. The 3 Audi also had gone out on slicks, decided it just doesn't give enough grits. But here goes Vincent Abril, just under 9 minutes remaining in this session to set that one flying lap that will really, really count. That's what he hoped. But the 63 Lamborghini, this is the one he's pitched against Andrea Caldarelli. Going around, this is the first flying lap for all of these runners. Of course, after the first part of the session was aborted with the red flag for the number 7 Bentley, is a chance for reconsideration. Right now, still with the windscreen wipers flaring away across the screen. Looking through the screen, it doesn't look wet, but it's that slippery element, and anybody just riding onto the curbs, as we have seen, they could hit real problems.
Yeah, you get that sort of, it's that kind of misty, very fine, almost like an Irish rain, where you stand in it, you get wet, but it's not like you're standing under a bucket. But anyway, the Lamborghini comes out onto the pit straight. This will be the first flying lap, which we think might be indicative, but it does sit 159.9. And nod of approval from Mirko Bortolotti and Christian Engelhardt. Jaguar second.
Yeah, but 2 seconds down, so that was a very, very good lap from Caldarelli. Who else is looking quick around the lap? Pastor Latourus actually looked quite quick. He had a purple time against him, but that was his out lap at the end of the third and final sector. Really busy, 2, almost 3 abreast down the start-finish straight. The black Falcon cars right together, the yellow Mercedes in the background and the white Mercedes, number 4. Coming up alongside. That's going to be interesting down into turn 1. But number 4 slides up the inside. That's Lucas Stoltz, goes 5th fastest. Still only the 63 Lamborghini, the one that's right in the championship hunt, below 2 minutes. No one else within 2 seconds of that. That's a really impressive opening salvo from Andrea Caldarelli.
Yeah, that was a very good lap indeed. As we look at the 88 Mercedes, and who's behind the wheel of that?
Tristan Vautier behind the wheel.
Okay. Very pushy Vautier, looking really for track position. So no point coming through the final 3 corners, being up the rear wing. He wants to give himself that opportunity. Turns in wide, swings wide. The back of the Mercedes likewise was just about to get loose. So let's see how Vincent Abril deals with the exit of turn 16. Much more stable, the back end of the car hunkering down. Frank Stippler has now gone second quickest in the Audi, but still 2 seconds slower.
I just can't overestimate how good that lap was from Caldarelli. So we had a raised eyebrow, but not a blink from Mirko Bortolotti, but hands on head for Sule and Suchek in the Bentley garage, waiting to see what their man could do, Vincent Abril. Of course, they can make up any errors.
Well, there you go. Just overruns into turn 1, and that's, everything has changed within the Bentley team. They've lost 1 car. Most likely they'll not be able to get it ready for the race. Vincent Abril is out in the championship hope car.
Spots of rain on the screen. You see as he goes out of turn 3. This is where we spotted them on the out lap. So he's got to assess. He's got 2 laps fewer on the wet weather tyre than his rivals. Now we've got the SMP Racing Ferrari goes a second, and that immediately is demoted because a second good lap from the 114. It's changing fast and furious. It's now still 1.7 seconds, but the 19 car is second. That's the second of the Lamborghinis. So Lamborghinis 1 and 2, and their sister car 82. Can't quite work out where that is on the timing. Not on the top page of the timing screen. Further down the order, but only still Caldarelli's lap below the 2-minute mark. So really impressive. What can Vincent Abril do?
He's got to not make that little error he made in turn 1 at the beginning of this lap. That's what he needs to do.
He's got clear track to himself. Car ahead of him, 75 Audi is out of the corner through turn 10 and 11 as Vincent turns. Another little twitch there at the end of the back straight as he tries to go through the sort of double apex, riding the curbs. Not always the best of ideas when it's been wet, but understeer. How much would you like, sir?
Well, I mean, it's almost every line you take is a new line. It runs very wide coming out of turn 11 into 12 and 13. Runs the curb. Maybe Vincent Abril just needs to be a little bit calmer than he's illustrating right now, because he's been bouncing over curbs, running wide in the exit. Obviously anxious to get a time in with just under 5 minutes of the session remaining. Tristan Vautier has gone second quickest in the Mercedes.
Abril 22nd fastest. He's 4 seconds off the pace, but he has clear track ahead of him. He's got one of the Barwell Lamborghinis, the 77 car, in front of him.
But Bruce, he's got to calm down. He's got to stop doing this. And he's been running wide on some of the exits. Watch again, coming into 14. Aggressive over the curb in these conditions. You're not doing anything that's not going to help you.
Right, Tristan Vautier, we saw the 88 Mercedes, still big tension. Soule and Soucek sharing that number 8 car, but they will only get it a go after Vincent Brill has completed this session. He's got to improve. 22nd position, in fact, he's dropped to 25th. The time's keeping improving. Now just over 0.6 of a second between Caldarelli and the best of the Lamborghinis. The 88 Mercedes, a car that John and I have been tipping for great things for much of the season, is now second fastest. And another Mercedes up into third. Jimmy Eriksson in the 84 car. So what's happening in Vincent Abril's world? He isn't as quick in the first sector as he was last time around. So this is not indicative of a session that's going to end well. Caldarelli, another lap banged in the 1 minute 59. Still only he and Tristan Vautier have managed to get below 2 minutes. More drops of rain on the cameras.
Michael Meadows in the number 90 Mercedes now third quickest.
3 Mercedes in the top 4.
3 seconds behind the lead Lamborghini. So on board with the Bentley coming down into turn 10. A downhill break. It used to be a nasty bump there. They've managed to get that sorted out.
And that's another lack of improvement over his previous lap. Ironically, now he's backing off. He's trying to build himself a bit of space, is he, for a final shot? Because this hasn't been the best of laps of Vincent Abril. Championship challenger, championship hopeful in the overall GT Series as well as the Endurance Cup. But the setback for Bentley, he's got to put that out of his mind. He does have redemption potentially in the form of his teammates, so Soule and Soucek.
Better this time from Abril, coming through 14 and 15. Not attacking the curbs now. He's just got to get through the final turn 16, make sure he exits it cleanly, runs the curb, but with the wet weather tyres he's got a lot more grip. So let's see where this draws the Bentley.
So it improves it very slightly, moved him up to 25th, fleetingly 24th, but he's got the space.
Most importantly, Marcel Fassler in the number 5 Audi has popped up into second place, just under half a second behind the lead Lamborghini.
Okay, so it's Caldarelli in the 63 Lamborghini, Marcel Fassler in the number 5 Audi, Tristan Vautier, they are the top 3. He is in the 88 Mercedes. And a late entry to the pits there from Perez Compang. Sorry, it was a cutting across the line.
Well, I was down at turn 12.
Down at turn 12, just spotted that, sorry. I thought he was diving in. Camera angle caught me out. But who's doing the quick sectors at the moment? Tristan Vautier is improving. He's still in third place. And suddenly, the best of Pro-Am cars, the 89 entry from Acker ASP, and it's Ludo Bade. That's a good lap from the French enthusiast. And then a lap for 19, well, let's see that going back up the order. No, it doesn't, so it stays in 9th place. Lamborghini wanting to pack the grid as much as they can. Let's have a look. This is the moment.
Yeah, just runs very wide, coming out of up the hill, that long turn 11.
It was seeing him. That's why I thought he was. I looked from the timing screen to that, and I thought that's why he was cutting it across a baited section into the pit lane. Now number 88, that's the third fastest, and suddenly 85 is in the mix as well.
17, Stuart Leonard, he's just popped up into 5th place in the number 17 Audi. So we're seeing as an 88 runs wide. Again, it seems to be that the particular part of the racetrack being the slipperiest.
It's turn 12 as you go up the crest of the hill.
At 11, 12.
We saw Abril sliding wide. How is Vincent Abril doing on this lap? No improve. Well, he improved last time around, but he's only 27th, 28. He's really struggling. Car that's flying is Marcel Fassler's number 5 Audi, second fastest, and is heading for an improvement. He's 4/10, nearly half a second down, in fact, on Andrea Caldarelli's time in the 63 Lamborghini. Will it be improved upon? Tristan Vautier, no, with that slip, he stays in third position. Here comes the number 5 Audi, almost catching the back of one of the Ferraris. How much of an improvement will it be? He goes top, 1 minute 58.101, 9/10 of a second clear. What a lap from the man who was eating breakfast.
Again, that's indicative of track conditions. And watching the Audi and Lamborghini up at the turn 9, that's a tight pinch. As the 17 gets up the inside, a good pass, brave pass, and that's Leo. That's Stuart Leonard behind the wheel. So that's a very racy pass.
That certainly is.
That's an indication of just the level of confidence that Stuart Leonard has been sort of evolving throughout the course of this season.
Yeah, and obviously that victory to take the Sprint Cup title at Nürburgring.
Lucas Stolz has blown the doors off everybody in the number 4 Mercedes-Benz. 1 minute 55.6, 2.4 seconds quicker than Marcel Fassler's last lap.
And he didn't even do his best first sector in that. So suddenly Black Falcon Mercedes, it's the white one with the blue flashes up the side, goes top. Is anybody able to stop that? The checkered flag is out at the end of this session. Still a host of cars to do that. Stolz is one who can go around for another lap, and he continues to improve. Marcel Fassler is continuing to improve. There is that checkered flag being waved. So where is that number 8 Bentley at the end of this session? He's in 29th, but he's still on a lap. He hasn't completed that, but he isn't making any improvements. So it hasn't been the dream session. But there are 2 more shots for that car. with Maxime Soulet and then Andy Soucek. The number 5 Audi continues on its way. More improvements around the lap he's got to complete. He's done the first 2 sectors. He's green in both of those, so those are his best sectors there. One of the Ferraris starting wide in front. That's the 53 Spirit of Race car. Will that interrupt his form before he gets down to the end of the lap? You certainly feel it's going to compromise him. Oh, cruel luck. He won't be able to get past before the chicane. He might have a look. Well, he's been allowed up the inside. The 53 car keeps out of the way, but that has cost him a little bit of time. Yeah,
I mean, he was very, very clear that he was going to come through. The Ferrari did initially look to turn in, then it saw the wisdom of its decision and backed out of it. So Marcel Fassler's last lap, 1:57.4.
An improvement, but he's just over 1.8 seconds down. Here comes the number 4 car. Lots of traffic in front of it. That's going to be compromised, but he set his best first sector, the best second sector. Out of the chicane he comes, power going down. Will he get down any lower? 1:55.6, 1:54.787, 2.678 seconds clear.
And that was with traffic ahead of him, so he was compromised really in the final 3 corners and extends the gap between himself and
in a different session.
Well,
give him a biscuit, I say.
Whatever it is,
that's
whatever
fantastic.
they've done, however they've adjusted the car to their conditions, they've really found a way to get grip into that Mercedes. Standing job and being patient when he could have been a little bit sort of prepared to push unnecessarily.
No, it looks like we're out of qualifying, but I'm hopeful they might get the car repaired, but we'll have to wait and see.
In your own point of view, what do you think happened?
I think the track was, it looked pretty dry from where we were in the pit lane. Sector 1 and Sector 2 were dry, but just coming out of the last corner, he just lost the rear. It turned the car and put him straight in the pit wall. These things happen very quick in a race car, so got caught out and very unlucky. You know, no blame apportioned to Guy. It happened to all of us, so I feel really sorry for him. He's obviously not feeling great at the moment, but we put an arm around him and, he'll bounce back quick, I'm sure.
So that's obviously why you went out on slicks, because you thought it was dry, is that correct?
Yeah, well, our weather forecast said the chance of rain was, the risk of rain was increasing. So with the track not being too bad, we wanted to go out, make sure we were in slicks at the start, and we were on track, at the right point on slicks. But it seems like Sector 3 was maybe a little bit too wet early on. The rain also intensified at the start, so certainly didn't help.
Disappointing, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Always good to hear from Ollie Jarvis, trying to be as upbeat as he possibly can. But let's take a look at that phenomenal performance from Lucas Stolz on, well, we have to call it provisional pole. We have 2 sessions to go by 2.6 seconds. Marcel Fassler, a series of good laps. Right at the end, great driving there from Stuart Leonard. Showed he wanted to make his way through. Benoit Trellier in the number 2 Audi also putting it in, but really the star in the early part of the show was Andrea Caldarelli, who laid down that marker for the Lamborghini team in the 63 car that is right there in the championship battle. Pro-Am honours were taken in 10th place overall, Luco Bardet, and in the AM class it was one of the new faces in the championship this weekend, Edward Lewis Browner in the 777 HB Racing Lamborghini, who was at the top of the charts for that. But right, so as we heard from Ollie Jarvis, the conditions were dampish around a third of the lap at the start. Then the rain came down during the stoppage, and the cars, we can look out of our window, John, and we can see the dry lines, but this is the driest part of the circuit, the start-finish straight.
I mean, when you listen to what Ollie Jarvis was saying, I understand the logic, the rationale of why they put their 2 cars out on slick tyres, because their weather indicated that the session, whatever it was at the point they were starting, was going to deteriorate, which is what it did do. So they thought smartly and wisely, let's get a lap in on the opening lap or opening 2 laps before it does deteriorate to a wet weather tyre track. But unfortunately for Guy Smith, he got caught out. I suspect he might have run the curb with the left rear, spun it up, and then just the car would have rotated around that, and then it had nowhere to go but bang the nose of the car on the inside of the circuit into virtually where the pit crews are standing, a little bit further back from the exit of the corner. But the damage is done to the car. It's hard to see how that could be repaired. If they have the parts, then they will go at it. There's no question about it.
Well, the car's sitting in Parc Fermé, covered by its official car cover, but the clock is already counting down to the next session. But there, the number 4 black Falcon car, we think it looks absolutely fantastic, and its livery celebrating 50 years of AMG. But that was an absolutely astonishingly good performance from Lucas Stolz, the 32-year-old German who's been around a while, but that really was putting his name on the top of the time charts in prodigious style. But that car is now being handed over to the second driver in its cycle, and the second driver due out in that is absolutely nobody's fool at all. It's Adam Christodoulou, who during the wet weather yesterday put in some very, very handy laps.
Yes, I mean, and we've seen the Mercedes in general being really, really top of their class.
Well, we talked about Luca Stoltz. He was absolutely mega down the lap. Let's hear from him.
Luca, absolute mega lap.
Yeah, I think it was the right decisions to go on slicks one time. We saw the Bentley crashing, so I went out on rain first, but then we put slicks, and obviously it was a good decision, but yeah, let's wait for another Q2 and Q3.
Now Adam's in the car now. Is he going to be as fast as you?
I hope, yes.
I hope so too. Good luck. Thank you.
That is a smile of satisfaction. You're part of a team, you're one of 3 drivers, but you've done your bit. You've really pulled it out of the bag. The conditions could improve, and I'm sure they will improve. It doesn't, well, we can't tell from our commentary box.
I
don't think it's raining anymore. No, that time could be obliterated, but he obliterated the field in his own way.
Within this session, that's all he can be judged by. He was by far and away the quickest driver. He dominated the session towards the end of the session. Now, it looks as if, we're just watching the number of cars coming through with their wipers operational to giving us an indication is the rain around at the end of the straight through turn 3. So I would imagine it's probably pretty much the conditions that the first of these 3 qualifying sessions ended in. So is anybody going to think, as Bentley did do, that, well, there might be a little window, we might just find that window, put on a set of slicks? I would imagine that everybody has gone out or will go out on a set of wet weather tyres, even if it's just for 1 lap. And there we see the Ferrari 488. Now, we don't know what tyre he was on, but down into turn 5 has clearly found that the track conditions have not improved from now. Those were about 10 minutes ago. So
that's Rino Mastronardi. Just saw his face up on the screen, his graphic rear wing vibrating as the car's bouncing around on the gravel, that it's dropping. And no one else will thank him for bringing that back onto the circuit. But the good thing is the car keeps on going. So the Rinaldi Racing car in the AM class, that's its AM entry, being sorted out. So what sort of tyres are going on? It's on the other side of that 98 BMW, the HTP Motorsport Mercedes.
Can we get a glimpse of the front tyre?
They look like slicks to me.
It looks like a slick tyre. It does look like, if it looks like a slick tyre, it is a slick tyre. So the Rowe Racing team have decided that track conditions are in the improving phase.
Now, according to the entry list, that should be Bruno Spengler about to go in there. The 50 Ferrari deciding whatever they went out on isn't the right tyre, but the 55 car is going to continue around to do a flying lap. So those, not everybody getting it right from the pit, so they say maybe it's better to go and investigate and then pull into the pit. But the 55 car has decided, very, very confident with the tyre it's on. Tyres it's on, that's Marco Ciocci. Down to turn 1 he goes to start his flying lap.
So into and through as the BMW tippy-toes its way on its slick tyres out of turn 2. The Ferrari Ciocci into turn 3, and you can see the track conditions are still slick now. I would imagine the Ferrari's still on the wet weather tyres, the way the car yaws as it comes through. Fastest overall presently into the first sector, but you know, this is really the first flying lap for pretty much the entire field.
Yeah, and you can see behind that 98 BMW had backed out of it. It's in fact listed as Fisichella.
I was going to say, it looked at Fisichella with Ciocci on the screen. But
out over the curbs and the tail kicking around, but Fisi kept his foot in. And Maxime Soulet, purple first sector. That's just been improved upon by number 2, which is Stéphane Richelmy, but it shows the Bentley crew is winding it up so they can forget Q1 now. Their quicker tyres are going to come in Q2 or Q3, and they will be the ones that
count. I think that's an illustration of just the confidence Maxime Soulet has. And I think for Vincent Abril, it was tippy-toe stuff at the beginning of the session. But Vincent Abril is somebody who is very positive. You can see the way he places the car. Everything he does is very positive, forward-thinking, makes his judgments and commits to them and carries them through. Dives down the inside of the 85 Mercedes into turn 10. The Mercedes did, in fairness, step aside, but nonetheless, the body language of the number 8 Bentley was so clear that I'm coming through, and it's not a matter of if and or, it is I'm coming through.
Yeah, so the 85 Mercedes kept very tightly that way. So the best middle sector of all goes to Maxime Soulet. Is it going to be bettered by the number 2 car that had bettered his first sector time? No, a much, much slower middle sector for Stéphane Richelmy in the number 2 Audi. So 8 coming around to end its lap. Will it, the target time 1 minute 54. 55.787. It won't beat that, but it goes up into second place. 1 minute 55.232. Immediately behind it, 1 minute 55.7. Up into third place goes the 911
But the Nissan goes quickest. Chio goes quickest in the 23 Nissan, so literally
quickest in the session. That moves it to second place overall.
Yeah.
So good lap from Alfred Renauer to go third fast. It becomes fourth because the 99 Mercedes getting into the mix as well. Sorry, 98 BMW. And that's Philipp Eng up into third place. So the times keep on changing. The green-nosed Audi trying to get itself right into the mix, goes in with Richelme down into 10th place. Bad middle sector of the lap there. That's what cost it.
So into turn one for the number 2 Audi. Mathieu, Kegel and Bentner. There's the 23 Nissan going across the line. Which last lap, fastest lap, 154.984.
So it's worth reiterating the 23 Nissan with Chio. Here we are riding on board with him, fastest in this session, but still just under 2/10 down on that for qualifying session number 1 time from the Black Falcon Mercedes number 4 of Lucas Stoltz. Is this traffic going to affect Chio-san as he gives chase? No, I think he'll complete the lap without getting too close. But that's turn 9, teetering over the top of the hill, but nice and tight on the curbing on the inside.
Maxime Soulet. Purple first sector, purple second sector. So it looks like the number 8 Bentley is about to eclipse the time of this car. 154.9 was the lap time of the Nissan. The lap time of the number 8 Bentley, we were waiting for it to come across start-finish line, but indicative of what it's done on sectors 1 and sectors 2. There is the number 8 Bentley, Maxime Soulet, hopping, skipping and jumping through turn 14. Quickly back to the right of turn 15. Very purposeful lap indeed from the Belgian driver into turn 16.
Felix Sarayes goes top, 1 minute 53.4, so the target time has to be improved upon. It will be improved upon because
53.463.
200ths of a second is all it is. That's all it takes. So it's 8 from 88. So it's Maxime Soulet top of the time charts in Q2. That puts him now top overall ahead of Felix Sarayes. They've all improved upon. Now Lucas Stoltz's time from session 1 has dropped him down to 7th, and he's having to wait for his teammates to see what they can do. But it just shows how fast this track is drying out.
Well, it is drying up basically by the corner, and that's what we're essentially seeing as cars go out and down at turn 10. Somebody running wide, couldn't quite pick up what that was, something in red, but too far away to identify it.
Okay, where's 63 we've been talking about?
It is there.
Here it is. Going relative, well,
it's very
seems
slow.
incredibly slow as he comes down the hill.
Track position,
yeah, coming down to the chicane, it's all but stopped.
He's got all that traffic ahead of him. He's stopped the McLaren behind him as well, in effect. So this is the melee you get when you get a group of cars together and you want to go out and try and put in a time. And is that Christian Engelhardt, or I'm assuming it's
I would think
Engelhardt.
Yeah, it is. There's Bortolotti looking along with Andrea Caldarelli in the 63 garage. So whereas in the first session, the 8 Bentley, its arch rival, excuse me, was in all sorts of trouble, the 63 car, we're riding on board it now, has got to make the space in the traffic. Christian Engelhardt, lower of the 2 names there at the front of the car. The target time, 1 minute 53.4.
A lot of work on the steering wheel coming out of turn 2, having to balance the car on the steering, and again looking on the exit of turn 3, just running wide out to the exit of the corner, up to 4th gear, back down to 3rd, down to 2nd, get the car into the apex of turn 4, then it's hard on the throttle, then this difficult, frustrating turn 5. You never really feel you've positioned the car where you want to be, and again having to fight the back of the car under acceleration.
Yeah, but he's pink, it's purple in that first sector, right?
It doesn't matter what I'm saying. All that matters is what's on that screen, that purple sector, indicating he is quickest in sector 1.
Okay, well, we've got Philipp Eng suddenly going to the top. So it's by 10th of a second. So the BMW 99 is now top of the charts. Martin Kodrick, second fastest in the Pro-Am 77 Barwell Lamborghini. Oh, well, that's the 17 Audi off at the side of the circuit, but a green middle sector. This is very good indeed, very promising for the 63 Lamborghini through turn 10, through turn 11. This was the greasiest part of the circuit. Turn 12, will he run wide on the exit? No. Nice and tidy. I think the first sector, this first session time, we saw so many cars going wide. He's got enough of a gap not to be interrupted for the end.
More importantly, he's got a clear run to the end of this lap.
Needs to do a 1 at 52, John, because suddenly we've got the 19 Lamborghini, his sister car, top of the charts. Fred Vervisch.
So this is going to be eclipsed by the 63 car, we think. So 63 and 19 go to the top of the 152.337. by, what, 0.6 of a second?
Very, very close behind. Now, what can the 8 Bentley do at the moment? Suddenly, Maxime Soulet, who'd gone to the top of the charts, is down in 7th place overall. And in the overall reckoning, that is also the same, because all the Q1 types have now been dispatched. There was one of the Audis, I think it was a Santalot car, off the circuit. And Fred Verviche is starting to wind it up on his next flying lap in that 19 Grasser Lamborghini. Maybe he fancies being the faster of the 2 cars in the garage. I'm not sure they like that very much, but if he can keep all others behind, this is exactly what the Grasser crew can do. How about the 88 Mercedes? Felix Sarai is 9th fastest at the moment. Improvements in the first sector and the second sector. Target time 1 minute 52.3. What's he going to manage? Well, he goes up into 4th place, so that's in the mix as well. And suddenly the Porsche goes top. Alfred Renauer laying one down over his brother Robert Renauer, and Fabian Schiller goes up into 2nd place. The HTP Motorsport Mercedes looking very good at the top. 1/4 of a second between them.
It's impossible to keep up, because every corner, every lap, the lead cars, the quick group of cars are just going quicker and quicker.
Okay, John.
The 19.
But he's out on the track. That's the 19 car. But into the pits with 4 and a bit minutes remaining comes the number 8 Bentley. Maxime Soulet dropped to 12th place, now 13 as the times keep on changing at the top. Let's just refresh it at the moment, and it will change. The 911 Porsche's top, then the 85 Mercedes, and the number 2
the Lazarus,
27 Lazarus car off
5.
the circuit at turn 5. Car 16 has been off and back at the first corner. 19 is that fighting back. It's tumbled right down to
8th place.
8th place, but Fred Verviche, good start to that.
Up to 3rd.
Up to 3rd. So it's Porsche from Mercedes, from Lamborghini, from Audi, just how we like it in this championship. Change of tyres.
A set of slicks coming off the Bentley. Are they going to put on something? I can't imagine putting on another set of used slicks. Let's see what the 63 Lamborghini does. Well, the pair coming up. Fisichella, and the Ferrari goes quickest. 151.849. Porsche 2nd. Mercedes 3rd. Lamborghini 4th, Audi 5th, Lamborghini 6th.
Sticker tyres, brand new slicks going on that number 8 Bentley. They're going to have to hurry to get it out in time to complete its out lap. And the day is brightening here at the Circuit de Catalunya. The competition could not be tighter. Suddenly up into 2nd place goes the number 82 Lamborghini. They've all had a go at the top end of the field, and that is Paolo Roberti. So GRT team have 3 challengers. This is exactly what they wanted. Engelhardt in the 63 car is 8th at the moment, but looking very good out around the circuit.
85 are currently in 5th place.
Yeah, pink first sector though, pink-purple, call it what we will, but he's tucked in behind the Porsche. That's not a slow car to be behind. They're running 4th and 5th on the timesheets, right in that order around the circuit. Schiller goes to the top, 1 minute 51.1 seconds, 7/10 of a second clear of Fisichella.
Out with just under 3 minutes remaining on a fresh set of slicks. Ducks in behind one of the 2 BMWs.
Yeah, but he's in traffic. He's in traffic, but it's his out lap.
Yes, it's an out lap, so he needs just to work out where he wants to be, whether he wants to back up. But remember, he's got a new set of slicks on. He will most likely want to keep a reasonable pace to get those slicks up to their optimum temperature when he comes across the start-finish line. He probably will only get that 1 flying lap on that new set of slicks.
Well, Paolo Roberti's really pushing on in that the 82 Lamborghini. Clear track ahead of him. He's got the ISR Audi tucked in behind. That's also quick too. It was 10th. It's just dropped to 11th as I looked at the windscreen. But the 82 car
Verviche goes quickest again.
But the fastest first sector of all is the car that's currently 17th. It's the number 50 Ferrari. We saw that come in to change its tyres very early on. And it's Michele Rugolo, so that could suddenly be a cat among the pigeons, if you will.
Yes, Postcon, certainly it's got purple, but Verviche still currently number 1, 1 minute 51.023, 1.134 of a second ahead of the 85 Mercedes. Yeah, then the Ferrari of Fisichella, then the 90 of...
Look, 82 goes top, so 2 of the 3 Lamborghinis in the top. Their sister car, the 63 car, the one in the championship, reckoning is down in 14th, 15th place. It's changing all the time.
It's just keeping up. I mean, it's almost every car coming across the line is going quicker than the previous cars. Michele Rugolo goes quickest, 150.810, 0.161 over the number 82, and the 84 comes across the line. So no big improvement.
Book stays down in 13th, but it's the final lap that counts, and it certainly will count for the number 8 Bentley, just ahead of the orange one, Team Lazarus Lamborghini. This is the moment, because it's off our top timing screen, the number 8 car, and in the overall rankings, that means it's outside the top 20 in qualifying. So a lot of pressure on the shoulders of Maxime Soulet. Makes it onto the lap.
Flying lap. It's going to get 1 flying lap on this set of new Pirelli slick tyres, and Maxime Soulet has it all to do in this session, and it's
Where do we go next? We go below 1 minute 50 because suddenly Adam Christodoulou, we said he was hot. This is the number 4 Black Falcon Mercedes. It topped Q1. Conditions keep on changing. They change as we speak, but traffic is not what you need on your flying lap for the number 8 Bentley.
Maxime Soulet gets, again, he uses his positive thought behind the wheel to put the car into such a position that the Lamborghini's moved to the side to let it go through.
Yeah, well driven by the HP Racing car. That was fastest not so long ago for Fisichella.
Still 6th position, no improvement.
No improvement, but clear track now ahead of Maxime Soulet. Don't forget, we've still got Q3 to go, but suddenly Issa Tutumlu, Spanish racer, in the 66 attempt to racing Lamborghini from nowhere. Christodoulou, though, still top by 2.
Christian Engelhardt goes second quickest in the 63 Lamborghini.
That could be key. So what can the championship rival do? The number 8 Bentley down the back straight to turn 10. There's a gang of traffic, hopefully too far ahead to make him suffer. But his middle sector, fastest of everybody. The checkered flag is out. This is it. This is the final shot. The 72 Ferrari's been there or thereabout. Not in this session. It's down with Davide Rigon, top driver, but he's down in 19th position. But what is happening? Looking up to see the Bentley clear space ahead of it. One of the cars just about to turn into the chicane as he comes down the hill. There, Ferrari out of the way. And suddenly, number 72, Davide Rigon, 19th, up to second. So good spot there, John.
Yeah. So that's within the Bentley, number 8. So coming out over through turn 16. This is it for the Bentley. Can they get into the top 10?
I think they're going to go top, John.
It goes third. Look at the relief. Vincent Abril. Well, he was holding his breath for the best part of 1 minute and 50.178 seconds. No wonder he's bluing out at the end of that lap.
Hold on, John. Will it be toppled? There are still cars to come round in this session, but that was really under pressure from Maxime Soulet. And he's importantly ahead of the 63, the rival, but 63 is still on a lap. Green first sector, waiting to see Christian Engelhardt complete the second sector. He's got someone ahead of him. It's Rinaldi Racing Ferrari at the bottom of turn 10, the bottom of the back straight, bouncing over the curves. Will it affect him because he's on the charge? Who's got the fastest middle sector of anyone? He has, Christian Engelhardt. We always said in this session, John, the fastest time would come right at the end. Indeed. And we are right at the end. So the 8 Bentley is ahead of the 63, its championship rival. It's third. This Lamborghini is in 4th place, nice and tidy through the chicane.
It ought to, by virtue of being the last car to complete a lap under the checkered flag, go quickest overall because he's got the best track conditions. So currently in 4th place, Christian Engelhardt goes quick, 1:49.554, 4/10 of a second quicker than Adam Christodoulou. More importantly, 0.6 of a second ahead of the number 8 Bentley.
So it was all in the timing. We thought Bentley had done very well to get the car in. New set of slicks on the 8 car. Maxime Soulet then worked his way through the traffic and delivered. But the target time, it was about where you were, because when that crossed the start-finish line, the 8 Bentley, it was about 55 seconds till the checkered flag would come, and that gave time for more cars to be behind him onto their final flying lap, and one of them was the 63 car. So the championship challengers, 63 is first at the end of the second qualifying session, and 4th place overall to the number 8 Bentley. In between them, great lap there from Adam Christodoulou in the number 4 Black Falcon Mercedes, and Davide Rigon. Here we have the charts, 4/10 of a second, and with every second it seemed the order changed, but it was the 63 championship challenger Christian Engelhardt at the wheel that topped the time charts. The track will continue to dry, so be sure the times are going to get faster still when we go to qualifying session number 3. But you could say 63 and 8, the championship challengers, have kept their noses clean. They're in the mix, which is all they can ask for at this stage. But it was a case about when to put those slick tyres on, how hard to push, and really the cream rose to the top.
Yes, I mean, everybody, I think, went out just for an exploratory lap on the wet weather tyre and probably realised that actually they were being overly cautious, but it's better to be overly cautious than it is to be overly rash and pay the penalty. So everybody then quickly back into the pits, put on a set of sticks they would have been running on Saturday, and then realising if they want to go quick, they're going to have to use up one of those new sets of tyres. In the case of Bentley, we obviously saw a brand new set going on. That set will have done an out lap, a flying lap, and an in lap, and that may well be the set of tyres that you will see Andy Soucek go out in the final qualifying segment.
So 50 runners, the times keep on coming, but it was about checking where you had a little bit of grip. Certainly there was none early on up at turn 12. We saw lots of cars running wide in that turn in the first session, fewer in the second session, but it's going to keep on drying out. A few people down the tail of the field not able to go on slicks, or deciding not to with their driver run-ups. As you can see, 15 seconds off the pace for the 36 Walkenhorst car, but no time, of course. So the number 7 Bentley didn't get to start that. It's still under a tarpaulin, waiting to be grabbed by the crew to start what we hope will be a rebuild program to get it into the race.
Yeah, I mean, if it's still in Parc Fermé or under park firming conditions, it's probably unlikely the time will be available to effect a repair. I mean, the M Sport team, with their rallying background, and Malcolm Wilson, of course, as a rally driver himself, knows that miracles are performed on those rally cars in much more trying conditions than the luxury of a wonderful pit complex that we have here in Barcelona. But sometimes too much is too much.
Job done. Mirko Bortoletti getting on board, Christian Engelhardt out, but it's not job done. We've got Q3. This is the absolutely critical one. In the background, you can see the number 16 Mercedes already lined up, ready to go out. The second the track is cleared and the clock gets to tick. But for the 63 crew, they've got to do it all over again. The conditions are getting better and better, but for Christian Engelhardt, he has done everything he possibly could to put the car at the front end.
To give you an idea, I'm just looking to see the times that we would have had. Free practice 1:47.3.
So we're 2 and a bit seconds.
That was the
off
number
that.
90 Mercedes. That was the first practice session on Saturday morning. So that's the benchmark time, 1:47.3. That was on a bone dry track, albeit maybe marginally green, but nonetheless that'll be where teams will think. So you're roughly about 2.2 seconds away from that Saturday morning time, with track conditions as they are. And looking down from the commentary position, the pit straight is pretty much dry. There are little damp-ish patches, but nothing that's going to have any effect or bearing on a lap time. And around the track, the racing line, I would imagine, is, I would say, 95 to 98% perfect.
Well, look at the mix of cars. A Lamborghini, Mercedes, Ferrari, Bentley, all different manufacturers, cars lined up. They're the top 4 cars. Session about to be underway, but a word of advice.
Yes.
Christian Engelhardt has passed on every little bit of information, John, about where the curbs, you just have to stay off them, where you can find the grip.
That's what teammates do, and that's what makes a team a strong unit. Is you've got your personal aspirations, in a lot of cases it's ego, but to work together and share that information and think about what's important. And what is important for the 63 car is the overall Blancpain GT Series drivers title, which they're leading by 22 points.
John, let's go down.
The Bentley, hold on, let me finish. Over the Bentley of Vincent Abril.
Okay, Christian Engelhardt down in the pits with Dakota. Sorry.
Christian, that was absolutely amazing, lad. The suspense is honestly killing me here. What were you saying to Mirko in the car?
Yeah, when I got out now, I tried to give him a short feedback what the track's like. It's really not easy. This morning was pretty wet. Everybody thought we could have go out on slicks already, but it was too wet. We had to use wets first. Then now was a crossover point to slicks. Every lap was quicker. In the end, the track was the driest, so I nailed that last lap, which was important for now. But if it doesn't start to rain, I think we will go a lot quicker in Q3.
You absolutely nailed it, thanks.
John, you could just sense there from Christian Engelhardt, he's sort of pleased, but he knows it's a moving target, but you can just feel that sort of physical relief, can't you? The emotional release. He really, really had to concentrate, and now he can relax that tiny bit.
Look, they're the guys that are leading the GT Series title. They've got 22-point advantage over the number 8 Bentley. They are currently in the pound seat. He has done what he was required to do. All 2 of the drivers, there's 3 of them altogether in that 63 Lamborghini, know that they need to start. They are still smarting from the difficulties that they faced because of the red flags that occurred 2 weeks ago during the sprint event at Nürburgring. They lost out big time, and in effect they lost the chance to win that title. So they want to make sure that they're all in control. Everybody is doing their job, and Calderaldi and Engelhardt have done so. It's now in the hands of Mirko Bortolotti. This is the car that's going to challenge them. 22 points behind. They need something, the Bentley team needs something dire to happen to Lamborghini to have any chance of trying to overtake them and take that title.
And obviously one of the beauties of the Blancpain GT Series, here we have a twin-turbo V8, a large car, the Bentley, challenging the V10 of the Lamborghini.
Bruce,
very different shapes.
Don't forget that is the number 8 Bentley, that is the overall Blancpain Endurance Cup Drivers title leader, but it's only by 8 points over the 63 Lamborghini. So in one of the championships, the Lamborghini's got a comfortable 22-point lead, but in the other, the Bentley's only got an 8-point lead over the Lamborghini. So pressure indeed, and now that Bentley are in effect looking at being down to 1 car only, it is vital for both the 8 Bentley and the 63 Lamborghini to do what they need to do and put their cars as far forward on the grid, weather permitting, and things that are beyond the control of teams.
But just looking at the shot as the first of the cars came out of the pit lane, one of the big problems is the fact each of these cars has 48 other cars to contend with, 49 other cars to contend with. So many cars on track. The number 7 Bentley mechanics are now just starting to wheel that away from Park Fair. Maybe they've been having a look under the awning, so maybe they've already got their job list sorted out, and they'll be pushing that back down to get working on it as soon as they can. The 19 Lamborghini, this is the sister car to the 63 and the 82, but that, don't forget, was a real front runner at the Nürburgring last time out. So it's not a case of the GRT Grasser Racing Team only having one challenger, but as far as the title is concerned, that's what they have.
Whether these are fresh tyres, new tyres going onto the 63 Lamborghini, they have taken off the set of tyres, and those look like they are new tyres. So Mirko Bortolotti looks like, no, they're not, they've been used. You can see that the rubber, there's a small amount of rubber build up. Now that'll be another set. So 12 minutes, just under the 13 minutes of the session to go. The 4 Mercedes just waiting for track position now, hard on it, and sometimes actually by being really slow, turns 14 and 15, and then getting that clean, good run out of turn 16 is the quickest way to start your lap.
Well, we saw that before from the number 4 car. It's a tactic they've worked out. Should be Jelmer Bourbon on board that now. So it is, the Dutch racer. He's got clear track ahead of him. But don't forget, we can get excited now, John, but it's what's going to happen at the end of the session. This track is still going to keep on drying. Fastest time we've seen so far this weekend. Yesterday morning, 1 minute 47.3. We're going to come down towards that, I am sure. But we're at the moment 2.5 seconds, 2 and a bit seconds away from that.
You would expect with the heavy air, the moisture-laden air, that's going to provide for the quickest times the racetrack will have been producing over the 3 days we've been here. And that's because you get downforce with heavy air. It's good for the motors, not necessarily good for the aero drag, but it doesn't matter. This is a downforce circuit, and you want to get the maximum out of your set of tyres, especially your new set of tyres. So we look at Jelmer Bourbon, currently purple in the first sector. Well, somebody's going to have to be purple. It doesn't matter who it is. It'll be one of the 49 cars running. It happens to be the Mercedes, but we've got 11.5 minutes of the session remaining. It's what matters at the end that will count. What's happening now is just a feeder for all that.
The preamble. Another car going very well is Matt Parry, the 22 Nissan. He was fastest in the first sector. That was superseded by the number 4 Mercedes, which he was then faster in the second sector, since been superseded by this number 4 Mercedes. So good pick to look at that. Jelmer Bourbon on board. Out goes the 63 Lamborghini. So I think the gold standard will be already down into the 1 minute 47.5, yes. And it's Kalvitz fastest in the 333 Pro-Am Ferrari, but that is going to be toppled by Jelmer Bourbon, staying predominantly off the curbs at that final chicane, running over the curbs on the outside of the circuit. That matters not. They couldn't have done that in Q1. You'd have been spinning if you did that.
Absolutely not. So looks a strong lap. This could be the first lap into the 46s. Well, close, 47.186. So Jelmer Bourbon really, there's the 8 Bentley. That's one of the 2 cars that is really going to be the focal point of this afternoon's 3-hour endurance finale. So just again looking to find track position, as there are patches on the outside of turn 11 and through into turn 12, but they're not parts of the racetrack that you would now normally be visiting.
Yeah, midway through the last session through Q2 almost seems a while ago back now. We saw cars going off at turn 10. Still, if you ran a little bit wide there, kiss the curbs, you go off. Plenty of runoff space, but doesn't help your lap times. Now, BMW started coming into the mix last session, but that was when things were changing very fast. We've got one Alexander Sims down in 10th place. It's now the 90 Mercedes goes top by just over a tenth of a second. That's Raffaele Marciello. So ACA ASP ahead of Black Falcon.
Yeah, there he is, the second of those 2 cars. Now the 55 Ferrari comes through the final turn. Currently not showing on timing and scoring, but probably will very shortly. Personal best all the way through. Comes across the line and goes up to position 9. The Jaguar is off, coming out of turn 5. Now, is that a spin or is that a mechanical problem? I suspect it might have been a spin, as the Jaguar, it's in that slightly awkward position where they want to get the car red flag. That's why. Contact between the 26 Audi and the Jaguar down at exit of turn 5.
Yeah, so that's red flag.
No, so I don't know. It's not
no, they're not near each other.
Turn 2.
Separate instance, but all of his own for 26. Out comes the red flag. Now
that's been the cause probably of running a curb in the 20 of the Audi.
Well, let's have a look in the background behind the Bentley.
Coming to turn 1. So already the back end had gone, probably because he got on a curb. Look, he's buried up to the axles. He's going nowhere. That's why the red flag had to be thrown, because otherwise that car would be in a dangerous position. Jaguar probably might have been a mechanical or an electronical issue, something to do with what we just saw. The Audi went off pretty quickly.
It certainly did, having swapped ends coming out of turn 1 over the curbing, continues to swap ends. So there's the red flag. So the 63 car didn't get a time on the board, but overall...
And that's Christopher Haase behind the wheel, which is most unusual.
Most unusual. So with those sudden flurry of times, all the Q2 times have literally been obliterated. In fact, the top 20 all fastest and the fastest car in Q2. So that means the number 8 Bentley hasn't got a time in the top 20, and the championship rival, the 63 Lamborghini, no time in the top 20. We don't want them starting in the middle of the order, but they've still got 9.5 minutes remaining on the clock when we get going. It's getting brighter. If you were a betting man...
No, I wasn't going to say a betting man. If I was running the Bentley team, now that everybody's got to come back into the pit lane, we've got 9.5 minutes effectively of the session remaining. So you'll lose the best part of, well, over 2 minutes on your out lap. That'll give you 7.5 minutes. I would have a brand new set of Pirelli sticker tires sitting beside the Bentley, and I'm sure that the 63 Lamborghini will be looking to do something similar, because while you want to keep as many new sets of tires as possible for the race, it to me is more important to be at the front of the grid at the start of the race than it is to worry about having a new set of tires if you're running in 35th place.
I think, John, you joined the dots very, very well indeed. But unusual to see Christopher Haase, a driver of his experience. Don't forget, he was a winner in the Spa 24 Hours, the most recent round of the championship in terms of the Endurance Cup. The number 8 Bentley just being put into position, the crew keeping calm, taking a look, taking some readings from the car, but it's all changed at the top. So let's just refresh with this red flag after that sudden flurry of quick laps. On provisional pole, we have to say that because we might have a rain shower when we get going in. I don't think we will. Is the 90 Mercedes ASP
90
Raffaele Marciello.
Mercedes, then the first of the Pro-Am cars, the Ferrari, then another Mercedes, then the Lamborghini. So they've got the Audi out of that. It was really buried. I mean, I don't know how much gravel. They did well
to get it out that quickly, frankly.
They got it very quickly. I don't know how much gravel there is in the Audi under the suspension. Sadly, it can get into a wheel, it can get trapped behind a brake caliper, it can do lots of things that once the car gets rolling again. So I don't know what they're proposing to do, whether they're trying to get Christopher Haase to turn the steering one way and he wants to go the other way.
Yeah, he wants to get back on the track.
Lack of communication.
They wanted through the wall. Worth highlighting, good run there, 6th fastest at the moment for Matt Parry in the number 22 Nissan. Great to have another manufacturer up at the front end of the field, just ahead of another of the Ferraris, the 72 car. But it's the 90 Mercedes from ACA ASP, the Black Falcon number 4 Mercedes, and then Dominic Baumann in the best placed of the HDP Motorsport cars. His sister car, the 84 car, is 2 places further back in 5th place. But the 8 and 63, the 2 championship challengers alongside each other. It's almost as if it was arranged, so they can see what each other's garage is up to. The
thing that makes it, if you want to call it nice, you know, that's all fun, girls and boys, isn't it? Is actually that they're both at the far end of the pit lane, so neither team will gain or lose any specific advantage from being maybe the first garage in the pit lane or the last garage in the pit lane. So they're together in the pit lane at the far end. So no gain, no loss. And they can overlook each other during the course of the race, read the strategy, read the emotion, certainly on the faces of both the teams, and there will be shed loads of emotion. Right now, the number 8 Bentley is... Well, I can't see it in my timing and scoring at the minute.
Well, you can't see the 63 Lamborghini either, because they're not in the top 20.
So they've both got to set now the times that will be their grid time in effect, because the racetrack is right now at the best it has been so far this 1 hour of 3 qualifying segments.
So the 3 Lamborghinis, 19, 82 and 63, but it's 63, the critical one that's in the championship mix, with the car alongside it, the number 8 Bentley. When we get going again, waiting for a signal for that, 9 minutes and 26 seconds until the checkered flag will fall once the session has been restarted. The 26 Santalok Audi off, got it wrong on the exit of turn 1, into the gravel on the outside at turn 2, pulled away. That won't take any further part. And also the number 14 Jaguar we saw stopped somewhere between turns 5 and turn 6. pulled back behind the wall. Doesn't look as though that is going to be going anywhere either. Driver out of the car, but the 63 Lamborghini's decided it wants to be near the front of the queue. Why not be at the front of the queue? So it pulls out ahead of the 911 Porsche et al. As they exit onto a clear track, a track that's drying, John, by the moment.
Yes, and what they will hope for the 63 Lamborghini is that the entire field will have made their way onto the racetrack. As we look at the 8 Bentley, still up, and that's Jack's decision, I suspect, being made about the tyre selection they're going to put on. But what the 63 Lamborghini will hope is everybody will have made it out of the pit lane before he comes around to start his first flying lap. And they are going to be sufficiently... Yeah, well, it's not... Somebody said stickers.
Will they all stick a car? We will see.
But you might have seen, I think, because the sticker is only in one part of the tyre, we didn't see a sticker on the rear. So the front we saw
Kidology,
the sticker.
John. It's kidology.
Unless they put a banding all around the tyre that said new tyre. We saw what went on the front. It's got to be a new tyre on the rear.
Now, clearly, obviously, it's about setting the fastest time. It's about other people also not going off and bringing out another red flag before you've delivered that time. The 8 Bentley has taken more of a risk. It's waited a minute after the 63 Lamborghini. Its rival has gone out, but the 63 car did a very clever thing. By being near pit exit, they got out in front. They should not have traffic, but we've still got cars at a standstill in the pit lane. They could come out in front of it.
Look, it's a roll of the dice. It's not an exact science. Nobody can predict precisely what's going to happen. You make your judgments, you live by your judgments, and the consequence is, let's look and see, there's a set of tyres now. Which are stickers?
Who's got the stickers?
There's a stickery looking one on the right front. No. It's hard just to tell because they're coming out. They're not actually saying to the cameraman, look, we're putting on a sticker tyre. So there is
35th is the position. You can see the number on the screen. So a lot of places need to be gained. There is time, don't worry, 7.5 minutes. It might go in the flash of an eye. The target time, 1 minute 47.034, set by Raffaele Marciello. The 63 Lamborghini, the first of the queue, just where it wanted to be. So for Mirko Bortolotti, this is his chance to start to atone for the qualifying problems they had in the sprint round last time out at the Nürburgring. Nobody ahead of him. Well, a couple of cars just on their outlaps. That could have a factor.
It depends on how quickly he might catch up to the traffic. But you see, the Porsche running behind him actually was closing down coming into turn 1. So while he's got clear road ahead, he will also have the focus behind with the 911 Porsche. As the Lamborghini drivers, they're watching. They know that their man Mirko Bortolotti has got everything that it takes. But again, the Porsche is still there. It hasn't pulled away. Now, we have dismissed the Porsche as being a Pro-Am car with maybe one quick driver and the other two being the AMs, the gentleman drivers. So watch, again, it didn't look particularly comfortable coming through turn 5.
You almost sense that this is a sort of a precursor to a really quick lap. He's just starting to feed the speed in now.
He may be, but you have to make every lap your best lap. You can't anticipate what I might do, or I'll wait until the next lap until I feel, because you may find yourself, well, there's traffic which he will be probably getting pretty close to as he comes down into turn 15 and 16. So that's the concern for Mirko Bortolotti. How quickly do I catch the cars ahead of me? Do I catch them in a part of the racetrack?
No tension at all.
Affect me. Well, there's a look on the
pink middle sector.
There's a bit of a nervous laugh from Christian Engelhardt.
Well, they're to be looking at the traffic. He and Andre Caldarelli.
There's the problem. There's the problem.
He's backed out.
How many times have I got to repeat myself?
Everyone keeping out of his way, so very, very gentlemanly. They know it's a championship rival.
That was good driving by those cars on their outlap, watching their mirrors, observing the marshals, the flag marshals around the corner. So it comes across the line. Car 63 does.
Won't go. He does go top, fastest of all by 0.8 of a second, as close as. So another exhalation from Andrea Caldarelli and Christian Engelhardt down in the Grasser garage. What is the Bentley doing? Don't forget it. We saw number 35 on the screen. It's down to 37th position at the moment. Hasn't delivered a flying lap, and it's got traffic.
And the Lamborghini's lap is actually a second quicker than we saw on Friday. But as Robin Friens has gone quickest overall on a 146.019. So the 17 Audi, as the Bentley gets it all wrong coming out of turn 8 up the hill into turn 9. That's confusion for those that are around it. But where did that time come from Robin Friens?
Well, impact on the back of that BMW in the background. The Walking Horse cars obviously had a little bit of a rotation. No lights for the number 911 Porsche. That's being warned.
Dries van Voor up into 4th place, and the number 5
up to 3rd. So the
still looking to see where the number 8 Bentley is going to be. Is it going to be in the top 20? It needs desperately desperately to get up into the top 20. Needs to be in the top 10. No, it needs to be in the top 6.
You're right, John. Wholly right. At the moment, it's Robin Fried. Don't forget that car, the 17 Audi, won the sprint title. Now trying to make space for himself down the hill into the chicane. Not looking so much at the 90 car. That's very well placed. Raffaele Marciello, 5th fastest overall. The fastest car, 0-1 on the windscreen, 17 on the door. Robin Fried's a driver who just seems to be able to deliver where and when he wants. He's got a bit of traffic up ahead, but he's setting his fastest lap to try and get below 1 minute 46.
They got a momentary glimpse of the Bentley just coming through turn 15. So 1-3, just under 4 minutes of the session remaining.
And suddenly Johnny Adam gets the Aston Martin. He has the fastest Pro-Am, fastest first sector of anyone, 7th fastest. So that Aston Martin from Oman Racing Team.
84 Mercedes. Frank Pereira up onto the second row of the grid in 4th place alongside the sister 88 car, the ACA ASP car. Gugnon, 87. Into 6th place, the fastest Pro-Am car, eclipsing the Aston Martin.
And John, it's getting closer and closer and closer, but we still don't know where the 8 Bentley is going to be at the end of this flying lap. Is it going to have to wait for the next one? Robin Fried's top from the 63 Bortolotti Lamborghini. Don't forget that's the one in the championship battle with the 8 Bentley, but that's on the provisional front row at the moment. The Bentley is nowhere. Last time we saw it was 37th on the time charts. Got to complete the next lap.
Andy Soucek, I mean, if he doesn't know this circuit, he'll never know any racetrack. But again, it's just simply about, has he found the right bit of a racetrack? He's got a clear lap as the number 4 Black Vulcan Mercedes swoops through Jelmer Berman. He had been very quick early in the session, currently down in 10th position. This lap is going to see an improvement from the... He is Dutchman, isn't he? He's a Dutchman.
Jelmer, yeah. I just had a little cameo role. We had Thomas Enger in the Reiter Lamborghini Gallardo into the top 20, so great performance from him, but he's just been knocked down the screens. The time keep on changing. The number 4 Mercedes in the mix with Jelmer Berman, getting a little bit of traffic. Says he's 6th on the screen, but it's 10th on the timing screens because times are changing that fast. Robin Fried still fastest, 1 minute 46.019 seconds.
It's up to 10th place.
There's Thomas Enger in the 24 Lamborghini, the oldest car in the field, if you will, the Gallardo.
Still waiting for the Bentley. Where is Andy Soucek? Behind the wheel
just
of the number 8
crossed
Bentley.
The start-finish line onto a flyer. You'll see him just coming under the gantry there, down the slope. He's got clear track ahead of him. He likes the drama. Just over 2 minutes to go.
But he's still outside the top 20.
Yeah, but he's made his space in the traffic, John. I'm trying to be positive here. So let's watch him around the lap. Will he be interrupted? Getting a nice flow through the opening sequence of corners. 27th fastest at the moment. That would be an absolute disaster for the championship challenger if he doesn't improve on that. I think he will, but how fast is the 16 Mercedes?
Well, he's got the 90 Mercedes behind him. That was currently the quickest car down to 8 fastest. So how quickly does this situation, this grid change? It is literally by the car coming across start finish line into turn 5, the difficult off camber, hard to get the nose in, then just let the car run through the curve of turn 6, flashing the lights and traffic ahead to say, look,
this
get
is a serious
out of my
one.
way, I'm on a flying lap. This is a battle ultimately for the championship, and we need to consolidate our position.
Yeah, it's probably Marvin Kirchhofer in the Mercedes up ahead of him in the Black Falcon car. He's closing in. He's got so much traffic. 2 of the Black Falcon cars, and unfortunately the yellow one is not the quickest one. So Scott Hecker needs to get out of the way. Down to 28th position. Stoic indeed in the pits. But
look on the face of Maxime Soulet.
One more lap after this. So is he going to back off, sacrifice this lap, and try and make space for himself?
Can't afford to. He's got to keep on it. He must keep on it, even though he's going to catch up to those cars ahead of him, because he doesn't know what might happen on the last lap. So he's got to maximise what he can do on the lap he is on.
So just to reiterate, the championship rival, the 63 Lamborghini, is 2nd fastest in qualifying at the moment. 28th position is this number 8 Bentley. No sister car for it to have to help it at all. So how good is this lap going to be? Into the top 20 perhaps? You have to hope so. Not into the top 20. 28th position, no improvement on that lap. So not so long ago we saw Vincent Abril breathing a sigh of relief as Maxime Soulet put it up into the mix, but now one of the Walkenhorst BMWs is in front of the Bentley. They cannot afford this track position.
No, this is just going all against Andy Soucek right now. I mean, almost 3 cars directly ahead of him, none of whom look like they're about to give up the ground to let him go through. So this lap is going to be, well, you can see the look at Maxime Soulet. He knows. And what you notice with Maxime Soulet, when he's behind the wheel, he makes his passes happen. He just uses the car and his own forceful presence and personality. And we're not seeing that just right now. Andy Soucek is not able to clear these 3 cars ahead of him. He will be his pace is reduced to that of those cars. So outside of the top 20, unless something unforeseen comes on this final lap.
You know, no improvements in the last few laps in the top 20. Almost looks like there are more drops of rain around the circuit, which certainly wouldn't help at all. But of course, their tyres have gone away from their sweetest of sweet spots.
They've used the best of their tyre earlier in the session. They've used it up, so there's no more time in that set of tyres.
So time to pray for miracles if you're a fan of the Bentley crew. Maxime Soulet certainly gave it his best shot, and picking his way past the Walkenhorst, one of the Walkenhorst BMWs, that won't help in particular, because no improvements around this lap. They really needed the good time at least a lap ago when the tyres were super sweet. So down into chicane. Well, that is setting the stage. The 63 rival from Lamborghini doesn't even bother completing the lap. Andy Soucek realises there is no improvement to be had, and does not complete the session out on the circuit. So 17 takes pole. Robin Freets and Paul Van Sonnebril doesn't know what to do, where to look, what to think. It's went from disaster to getting a whole lot better, and then, John, back to disaster, unfortunately.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the way qualifying goes. And sometimes people say, oh, well, is the luck's with you, or the luck's... It's not luck. You've just got to know when to go out. You've got to know when to use the best of the tyre that you've got. And those are things that are essentially controllable. It wasn't luck that Robin Freins and the 17 Audi ended up in pole position. That is not luck. That's because somebody worked it out. There we're seeing a repeat of what we actually saw on Saturday. Whether that is just literally now, we saw that's the number 5 Audi coming down into turn 10, and that's a set of front tyres that's going to be binned because there are flat spots on it.
Given to someone else.
Till the cars come home.
So Andrea Caldarelli looking very happy with life, because Bortolotti, they were very wise. They got that car out of the front of the queue, helped by being down towards the pit exit end of the pit lane, and they had no traffic ahead of them. Unfortunately, about a minute later, the number 8 Bentley went out and had traffic. So drivers walking in. So it's advantage Audi for pole position, the number 17 car, the crew that won the sprint trophy title, but importantly, crucially, the number 63 Lamborghini on the front row in the reckoning, not just for the Endurance Cup honours, but more importantly for the overall championship title. So Andrea Caldarelli, who joins the regular Sprint Cup duo of Bortolotti and Engelhardt, they did a really good job.
It's a very strong driver lineup, whichever way you look at it. And I mean, they are in that situation where, well, there you see the.
Well, there it is. A quarter of a second, the gap between the 17 Audi and the championship challenging Caldarelli, Engelhardt, Bortolotti, Lamborghini got them where they wanted to be. Mercedes very strong in 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions on the grid. Then Will Stevens and Vantor building on what Marcel Fasser did to put the number 5 Audi up into 6th place. And the best of the Pro-Am runners was Gounon, 7th fastest overall. So things changed across the 3 qualifying sessions. Each one superseded the one before as the track got drier and drier. But the fact we have to look to the 3rd page of the timing screen, just about to flip over now, to find out where the championship challenging Bentley was. 28th overall, 1.8 seconds down on pole position. Just didn't get the lap time in when the track conditions started drying and kept on drying. 2 red flags across the 3 qualifying sessions, which certainly interrupted the procedure, but if anything, it just added to the drama and the excitement of the show. But very much advantage to the 63 Grasser Racing Team Lamborghini. It did what it needed to do. It qualified on the front row. Didn't take pole position, but that would be a great advantage anyhow. But the fact is that its rival is back on the outside of row 14, puts the ball very much in the Lamborghini camp. It was stop-start, it was exciting. The lap times kept on changing. Right at the start of the session, we had a big slip coming out of the first corner, the last corner by the 8 Bentley, but the sister car right behind, a much bigger twitch, and Guy Smith into the wall. Whether that car is out of the meeting, we do not know, but great drama. But the first session, right at the end, on slick tyres, Lucas Stoltz put it in and went to the top of the time charts. Session number 2, Maxime Soulet went out and put the 8 Bentley to the top of the charts, but the 63 Lamborghini kept on fighting back. Caldarelli and Engelhardt and Bortolotti very happy with Engelhardt's lap, and then it went away there from the Bentley crew. The pressure kept on going one way then the other. Advantage back to the Lamborghini camp, and it was all in the lap of Andy Soucek. What could he do? He went out in that final session after the car that he was fighting against, the 63 Lamborghini, and when push came to shove, another red flag because Christopher Haas went round in the Santalok Audi. Mercedes going well. The red flag interrupted procedure, but it was all down to the 63 Lamborghini crew getting out and Mirko Bortolotti sticking it on the front row of the grid. So great relief in the Grasser camp. But what could happen? The 17 car demoted it, took the pole position, but 28 is the number on the screen, and unfortunately that's where it ended up. 28th position for the Bentley. It's going to be a massive mountain to challenge. Friens' 17 Audi will start on pole, but the front row has the 63 Lamborghini, so watch out in the race this afternoon.